Greetings, all! Today, we will be examining the exceptionally rare Water-type Pokemon Sobble, its equally rare evolution Drizzile, the two collectively known as the Water Lizard Pokémon, and its final equally rare evolution Inteleon, the Secret Agent Pokémon. Light on their feet and more than just quick to the draw, the members of the Sobble family are unique reptiles that can more than use their tricky tactics to befuddle and confuse those that go up against them.
Sobble have light blue scaly bodies with lighter blue coloring on their belly and lower face, with four stick-like two-toed feet and a large tail that coils into a dark blue spot at the very end. Their face has two dark cheek markings on their large bulbous head, as well as two large blue eyes and a large fin-shaped head crest with a dark blue rim and yellow interior flesh. The evolved form, Drizzile, have much more colorful forms to them, with blue bodies that are dotted with green feet and hands as well as eyelids, and a trio of fleshy sprigs on their forehead, two of which are dark blue in color and another that is a shade of muted purple. They have slightly longer tails, though still coiled at the end, a white belly, and retain their cheek markings, though their eyes have become black and pinprick in nature, with a half-lidded look to them constantly. The final evolution Inteleon have thin, elongated forms, with dark blue scales on their back legs, chest, and head crest, which resemble that of Sobble closely. Their three-clawed feet, legs, and five-fingered hands are black in color, and they have a white belly and a light blue thin tail. Their crest now also has a bit of a pale yellow-green cape-like extension on their back, and their eyelids are the same color, with a light blue pointed head form to complement their seemingly laid-back appearances and stance. Lastly, it is noted that these creatures have access to a Gigantamax form, and in this state, their actual bodies do not change much, but the tail grows a dark blue trailing fin and becomes cataclysmic in size, coiling around their lower bodies and at the ground, and elevating them to an immense height above the ground below them.
While they might share a skewed gender ratio of 1 to 8 in favor of males, Sobble are different from other Water-type starter Pokemon in that they actually use their emotions as a direct tool of defense in and out of battle, and can be a bit of a nuisance for opponents to handle if they do not approach them in the correct way.
Sobble are noted for being easily scared by just about anything, and while their emotional tolerance to fear and stress can be increased with proper training and care, if these creatures are scared, badly, or otherwise hurt, their immediate response is to start bawling their eyes out, crying to the point of complete dehydration in the worst of cases. While this might put them into some serious health trouble if it happens too often, this is actually their primary way of defending themselves on both the psychological and physical level. On the one hand, much like Bonsly, this sudden spurt of tears can unnerve some opponents and make them wary of striking them, luring them into feeling sorry for them. On the other hand, on a more physical and particular chemical level, their tears naturally contain the same chemical that makes the eyes of individuals water when they are cutting or peeling onions. However, they are present at a concentration 100 times as great as a typical onion, so if an attacker gets too close and sniffs the scent of a Sobble's tears for more than a few seconds, it can cause them to start crying uncontrollably and just as severely, preventing them from properly attacking them at all. In either case, these distractions help provide an opening that Sobble can then use to either escape or strike back with an attack, making them far more cunning and sneaky than their appearance might otherwise suggest.
Unlike their pre-evolved form, on the other hand, Drizzile are quite emotionally stable and do not have to rely on using tears in order to deter attacks from others, as they are much more clever and instead rely on their wits, camouflage, and direct power in order to deal with interlopers.
These aquatic creatures have the ability to use special pores in the palms of their feet and hands to secrete moisture that they can then shape in order to form a water balloon, which they then launch at opponents as a direct form of attack from hiding, crashing and chipping away at them with their strikes while doing their best to remain hidden from view. This tactic can prove to be surprisingly useful for them, and helps to make up for the otherwise limited defenses, and pairs well with the water pulse attack they acquire prior to evolution. However, this does put them at least at some mild risk, as they have to stay close to bodies of water in order to easily replenish their power in the wild, making it possible to box them in and confront them in a location where they might not have access to fuel they desperately need to battle effectively.
While the life forms of their final evolution Inteleon might make them seem like little more than pushovers, these sneaky reptiles are anything but, and can certainly prove to be a serious threat to try and take down in a fight.
Although their bodies are quite frail, the defenses are not that great for a fully evolved Pokemon of any sort. That's only a problem if one assumes that Inteleon will let you get anywhere near them, as these reptiles are exceptionally quick on their feet and are able to outmaneuver many types of opponents with ease. This comes as a result of their especially elastic joint ligaments, and the fact that most of their joints are double-jointed, allowing them to move in unexpected and potentially frightening ways in order to get the drop on others. This also makes them capable of dodging most attacks that come their way with ease, and it doesn't help opponents that what they see on the surface is rarely what they actually get, as these creatures host a number of special attributes that are generally hidden from view and kept secret in order to keep their opponents guessing. This is not limited to the above, as they also possess a knife in their tail for quick strikes, and they're able to use the thin membrane that covers their back to glide through the air, so they can cross large divides and sneak up on opponents from high up, and do so with so little sound that there is rarely much that can be done to avoid a sneak attack from the air by them.
One might expect from their forms, the close connection these beasts have to their element of choice allows them to have access to Torrent as their only base ability. But those able to strike with powerful precision shots better than most can also have access to Sniper as a hidden ability.
In terms of stats, in the case of Inteleon, it can be seen that, as highlighted already, they are not the best when it comes to taking damage and are lacking when it comes to stamina and physical power, but they are able to use their incredible speed and special powers to overwhelm others, the base special attack and speed stats being above average for fully evolved water-type Pokemon, thus giving them more than a bit of usefulness in the right situations. It is important to note that the use of emotions is not the only trick that Sobble have at their disposal to make sure they are protected against attack. In addition to being able to trigger crying fits in others, these creatures naturally excrete a special chemical film over their scales that is normally transparent. But when it comes into contact with water, it causes a reaction that results in the film becoming opaque and reflective, effectively hiding their forms completely and turning them invisible. This expert camouflage enables these animals to keep themselves out of view almost completely, save for the outline of their forms, and they often use this as a way to both hunt prey, waiting for small insects to flutter by before lashing out with their tongue without warning, and as a way to avoid being found by predators and opponents alike. This special skill is quite impressive and definitely makes them harder to handle than most Pokemon of their kind, but it is noted that this film only remains chemically active for a short period of time, so they must moisten their bodies as soon as it dries up, though given their penchant for crying readily, this is rarely a problem in practice.
Sadly, as intelligent as Drizzile may be, due to a chemical imbalance in their brain, they are also exceptionally lazy, and prefer to not have to do anything if they don't have to absolutely.
While this might seem like it puts them at a disadvantage in the wild, in truth, it is actually a clever tactic of theirs, for they never leave themselves truly open to attack. On the edges of their territory, these creatures will leave both land and water-based traps that can send Pokemon tumbling into pits, stepping on sharp sticks or rocks, or getting tangled in organic nets they place in the water to ensure that no one can truly get close to them. This can certainly be applied in battle as well, as opponents that do not pay attention to these quick-footed reptiles can quickly find themselves surrounded by traps, making it very hard to keep up with these creatures. On the plus side though, they rarely ever repair their traps unless they are absolutely compromised, and this can be taken advantage of to get past them by taking the brunt of the trap and moving forward, at which point they will have no choice but to fight for their life. This means that trainers will have to be careful as to how their Pokemon handle these intelligent creatures, as taking the worst they can offer and barreling through to them might be the only easy way to overcome their otherwise staggering ingenuity.
Aside from their agility-based combat tricks, what really helps to make Inteleon a terrifying prospect to have to face is their signature Snipe Shot attack, which demonstrates the true finesse of these creatures in a combat scenario.
While it might not be obvious to any degree, in addition to gaining access to the powerful Hydro Pump attack late in life, Inteleon are able to outdo the water-type attributes of the pre-evolutions by being able to fire a highly pressurized burst of water from their fingertips, which in and of itself is such a well-considered ability that only those aware of this special attribute would even be able to guess it was part of their move repertoire. When preparing this attack, these creatures close the nicotinating membranes on their eyes to give both the illusion that they are firing without looking and to actually focus their vision, carefully observing and analyzing targets to locate their weak points. Once they have a lock on such a weak point, they will use their pressurized organic storage container in the fingers to build pressure and release a stream of water from their fingertips at a speed of Mach 3, allowing them to strike a target from afar with such incredible power that they can blast past any target that has an ability or otherwise use the move in order to make themselves the target of the attack, bypassing both to hit the target they precisely aim for. This can prove to be a huge boon for attacking teams that prefer to use teammates and moves they are able to draw on attacks to protect certain teammates, cutting right through their strategies and serving to highlight the fact that these chivalrous lizards don't mess around and will do their best to hit their target every time, no matter what.
Lastly, it is noted that Inteleon is one of only a select number of Pokemon known to be capable of undergoing the process of Gigantamaxing, with specific members of the species taking on unique form when they are Dynamaxed in battle.
In this state, the tail of these creatures grows to an immensely long size, over 130 feet, and they're able to fully control it to the point of being able to stretch it out and hold it straight like a pillar, enabling them to move their entire form vertically and use part of their coiled tail as a place to rest, like a makeshift sniper lookout. In this form, these creatures can use their incredibly sharp mind to calculate the precise effects of gravity on its shots, and the nictitating membrane on their eyes can now also allow them to detect air temperature, pressure, and even humidity, all to enable them to make the most accurate shots possible, enough to snipe a berry rolling on the ground over 9 miles away. While this might only be a temporary state for them, the immense power that flows through them while in the state allows Inteleon to utilize a unique G-Max move known as G-Max Hydro Snipe, which involves them using their fingers to charge up and release a burst of water so strong it actually explodes when it impacts an opponent, striking with enough force to completely ignore their ability when they are hit, and allowing these monsters to use their Dynamax power to the fullest, to blast through even those with protective abilities on their side that might otherwise prevent damage from water-type attacks.
These watery reptiles can certainly be quite the surprise to many when they really show their stuff, and more than demonstrate why you should never underestimate what your opponent can do when really pushed. At a young age, as cute as they look, Sobble can be a bit of a handful to deal with because of how emotionally unstable they tend to be, and thus might not be for most trainers. However, they have quite a bit of power to them, and can in turn prove to be a pleasant surprise for those that stick by them. Drizzile might not be as lazy as Pokemon like Slackoth or Slacking, but their reliance on traps and things of the like can make them a bit hard to deal with, though they still have decent power to work with at this stage of life. Inteleon are both the closest thing to a spy agent the world of Pokemon can offer in practice, as they're not only aloof and a bit full of themselves, but they have every right to be, as they can easily back up their efforts and make it known just how powerful and accurate of a shot they can be on pretty much any occasion. The fact that this just makes them all the more powerful when in a Gigantamax state more than shows these reptiles to be cooler than a cucumber, and certainly quite the hit with those that have a secret agent itch that needs to be scratched on a regular basis.
Though they might not come off initially as the biggest threats to some, the members of the Sobble family are still sneaky creatures that can make good use of their combat attributes to snipe those from afar and keep them guessing as to where the next shot will come from. They might not always be able to take much in the way of direct hits before falling, but they can still make one heck of an impression against others in the meantime.
Just do yourself a favor and make sure you keep an eye on them and don't let them just run off to do their thing out of sight. They might be the best shots out there, but that might mean little if they can't take out a target and somehow accidentally lead it on a rampage that might make you wish that you could turn invisible too.
Thank you for watching this video. It brings me great joy to be able to speak to you all in the world each and every time we meet like this, to explore the many different facets of both the world of Pokemon as we know it, and the world as we live it, through every adventure we have with Pokemon by our side. If you'd like to, please subscribe, ring the bell and all that jazz to keep yourself updated on content uploads and other materials of the like. You can also follow me on Twitter if you'd like to know right away when something new is uploaded, and my written works, from which most of this is based on, can be found on DeviantArt. Links to both can be found in the description down below. Remember that the world of Pokemon is a place full of wonder and mystery, and you never know what to expect. So, stay vigilant, keep watch, and always be prepared for the unexpected. Until next time, trainers and friends of all sorts, have a wonderful time.